All right, so we are back, and we're going to pick up, I think, where we left off. And basically, I don't know what state you guys left your computers in, but we're going to assume that everything's closed, and we will open up ArcMap, and we will load up that map that we were working on. And I think what we'll do is we'll go through and get a little bit more practice digitizing some stuff. So we'll digitize in the remaining planting areas there, and then we'll digitize in the sidewalks. So when your ArcMap loads up, hopefully this getting started window comes up. Does anybody not have this window come up when you open up ArcMap? Everybody has it? It doesn't come up for you?
No, we just replaced the...
Okay, so if it doesn't come up for you, you can open up your map from the open menu. And why don't we just all do that to show a different way? So just hit the X out of this window here, and just to do things a different way. We'll hit the open icon, which is in the upper left. Looks like a folder with an arrow. And then if it doesn't automatically go to your area to where you stored your data, you can go to the computer, go to the T drive, GIS or Public Gardens Workshop data, and then you should see our map document. I named mine Eric Casey section, so whatever you named yours, it should be the only one there. So you can click on that and then click Open. And it should load up to right where we left off. And for those of you who are having some major technical difficulties, I think that your data set was replaced with the data set that I'm using here, so hopefully you guys should be all set now. Okay, so what we want to do is we've drawn in this one planting area, and now we want to draw in this one here that's down in the lower left, and the kind of long skinny one that goes along the top side here. So if you'll recall, to be able to create new data, we have to first start editing. So we have our editor toolbar open and probably docked down here. You can start that, or click on editor and click start editing. And our palette should open up here on the side. And now what we're going to want to do, yep.
Prepare data source.
Oh, you on it, Mia?
Yeah.
Okay. So if the rest of us are okay here, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. It's kind of going to be a repetitive process here a bit. So we want to draw on these other two soil planting areas. So we're just to do that, we just grab the soil icon over here from the Create Features palette. And then we're just going to basically draw these in. And remember that we wanted to be able to snap to the section boundary. So a good spot to start is over on the edge until you get that little snap cursor will come up. And then make sure it's snapped to the edge of the section. And then give your first click, and you should get a red vertex on there. And now if you recall, to be able to show where the vertices are in the sections, you can press the V button, or V on the keyboard, and then you can see where those are, and it makes it really easy to snap to those as we create this feature. And then when I get out to here, you can also just, if you let go of the V, you can just snap to the edge of the section boundary if there's not a vertex where you want to stop. And then trace along here, and when you get to a spot when you want to put the last one in and you want to close that polygon, you double click. And hopefully your this attributes window should come up for you. Now, since this is our second planting area, we're going to put the ID of 2, but again, you can just copy that from the object ID field there at the top. Kind of keeps track of that for us. And then a planting area name, and you can name this whatever you'd like. I'm going to go with Southwest, or near KCE. And now the section ID, if you recall, this is the number that's going to link our planting areas to our section. So the section, the number of the section is the ID 1, so we just put in 1. And if you wanted to put any comments in there, you could do that as well. Now I'm going to hit OK, and we'll have our polygon drawn in. Now I'm going to repeat this. Go ahead. You know, it's not particularly important, but it's, however, if you know your garden and you're doing this at your own place, you would have a better feel for exactly where to put it. I'm doing this really rough right now, and really, if you were drawing this stuff in for your own garden, you'd want to zoom in to a lot further level, but it's just a little easier to do it at a coarse scale today. So maybe in the photo you're going to want to go around that wall. Because it's not really part of that planting area. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time for the final planting area. So again, grab the soil icon over on the Create Features palette, and then pick a spot to start. I'm going to start right here, and then click, and then since we don't have to snap to the section boundary this time, I'm just going to go along the edge of the sidewalk here. Put everything in. All right, and now when I get to the section boundary, I do care about snapping to it, so I want to make sure that snap tip comes up and make sure it comes up again on the edge here before we start going along the water. And again, the feature is somewhat obscuring what I'm doing, so I may need to go back and make that more accurate later. Now you may notice that sometimes the cursor will snap to the section boundary even though you don't really want it to. In that case, you can turn off the snapping if you need to. I think that's done off the editor menu. You can go into the options here of snapping if you care to, and you can turn it off, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going quick and dirty here. Okay, so now I'm ready to close this polygon. Again, I'm going to double click, and it closes it off and brings up the attribute window. And our planting area ID is going to be the same as the object ID. It's going to be 3. And planting area name, I'm just going to call this Northern Area KC. And again, the section ID is still 1. And you can put in any comments if you want. And hit OK to finish it off. And now we've got all 3 of our planting areas drawn in here. And now, one thing that's really cool to see now is that if you go to the attributes of this, so by hitting this attribute button down here on the third to the left or third from the right, excuse me, on the editor toolbar, it'll bring up the attributes. And if we go ahead and get the Select Features tool off the toolbar up at the top here, it's got a white pointer on it and a blue and white polygon. And we click on our section boundary. Now, up on here, up on the upper right part of the attributes pane, we'll see section, and we'll see that it's South Area KC. If we expand it, we'll see the planting area here. Click on that, and now it's got all 3 of our planting areas linked to that section. If you click on these, it'll highlight them on the map so you can see which one it's talking about, and additionally, you'll see the attributes for that planting area on there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is, I think let's draw in this pathway here so that we can kind of fill in the ground area here in the section. So to do that, we need to add a new feature class in, and that feature class will be added by using the Add Data button here at the top under the selection menu, if it's in the same spot as mine, or it's the black plus icon. And then you're going to want to navigate to our home geodatabase. You can either hit the Go to Default Geodatabase button, that's the silver cylinder with the yellow house icon, or you can go under Folder Connections from the drop down here and select TGIS for Public Gardens Workshop. And then double click on the UC Davis Arboretum database, geodatabase, go into base map, and then the feature class that we're looking for is called Pavement Segment. And the reason that we have this named as Pavement Segments is that we've kind of designed this feature class to be able to track pavement that is done at different times. So a lot of times, you know, maybe originally they went through and they paved a particular area and in one swoop, so it's nice, one continuous piece. But then the utility guys go and they dig up a section of it, and then you have to repave that little area. And I know that for our Arboretum at UC Davis that they try to keep track of the different ages of the pavement so they can kind of predict what their maintenance costs are going to be in the future for replacing that stuff. So we've set up this feature class to be able to deal with, really you can map individual pieces of pavement. So if you have some pavement that's done, you know, in 2008, you can map that as one polygon. If you have it some done in 2009, you can map that as a separate polygon. So that's why we have it called Pavement Segments. So that comes in here, and you can see all the different subtypes of this pavement segment feature class. We can have bridges, docks or piers, the ever-present other. There is parking for parking lots, pathways, patios or terraces, ramps, a road. And we also have sidewalk, which we've kind of meant to be a little bit different than a pathway. Sidewalk being that usually follows a road. Pathway being one that's kind of goes off on its own. And we also have stairways. So all these different kinds of paved surfaces we can track in this feature class. Okay, so now we want to create some features for this. So we go to the Create Features palette, and you'll notice that it didn't automatically add pavement segment into this list for us. So we're going to have to add that in there. So to do that, you right-click on Pavement Segment, go down to Edit Features, and then hit Organize Feature Templates. Now it has Pavement Segment selected here. You hit New Template, and then just go ahead and hit Finish, and it'll bring up all those types for us automatically in there. And then hit Close, and now it's added our pavement segment types to this Create Features palette for us. We were just talking right before the lunch break on how that once you add a new feature class in, that should automatically come into this. We shouldn't have to go through that step, but that's how it is right now. So, okay, so I want to draw in a pathway, so I'm going to select the pathway icon here. And then essentially you can see that the pathway we're going to be drawing in is just this area that's in between our planting areas. So we can draw this as one big polygon, meanwhile snapping to all the other ones that are there. So you can pick a vertex to start at. I'm starting at this one over here in the kind of the upper right. And you can see it's snapping to the planting area vertex. That's great. So I'm going to click on it to start it. And then I'm going to hit V to show all my vertices. And then I'm just going to click along and follow those, making sure to snap to all of them. And again, if your vertices disappear, hit the V button. And you may kind of have to alternate hitting the V button and letting go of it. Remember, we're just filling in that area in between the planting areas. Okay, when you get to the end, double click to close it, and it'll bring up the attributes. I'll give you guys a minute to catch up on that.
If we want to draw this as a line segment, how would we do that?
So the excuse me, the question is how if you wanted to draw the pathway in as a line versus a polygon. Is that right? Who asked that question? That was you. So we actually have a different feature class called Pavement Centerline. That is a line feature class that you could load in, and you could just draw the center line of that. And generally, if you have a very big area that you're working with, polygons don't work that well because you're very far zoomed out, so they don't look quite right. But we've kind of set up the model to have both the polygons and the center line, so you can either draw the center line in manually, or you can use the geoprocessing tools in Arc Toolbox to create that center line for you and store it in that pavement center line feature class. And then you can link the two things together if you'd like, even. Okay, so has everybody got their polygon finished and their attribute window up?
No.
No? So while we wait for a couple people to catch up here, I'll just go over the different attributes that are in this pavement segment feature class. Now, unlike the other ones that we've dealt with, this one has quite a few different attributes in it, and a lot of these are set up for your facilities guys who probably are concerned about the budget and the condition and things like that related to pavement. So we have lots of different things in here, and because this feature class also stores information about all kinds of pavement like bridges and parking lots, there's some attributes that only really pertain to those things stored within inside here. So we've got our traditional ID type, a name. There's information about the type of construction, what it's made out of, the date it was made, a link to any construction documents. So we scroll down, there's maintenance information. So if there was recent maintenance, there's different types for that. The date that the last maintenance was performed. If there's any documentation about maintenance, you can link that in here. Same with inspection information. A lot of people, at least at the UC Davis Arboretum, we have issues with, the pavement, like roots will buckle the pavement and it becomes a hazard for the people, so we have to go out and do regular inspections on these things. So we have information about that in here. General condition. I know a lot of places, at least at UC Davis, they use software that kind of predicts the condition of the pavement in future years and helps you figure out when you're going to need to replace it. So there's fields to store all this kinds of stuff in there. But again, if you don't care about that or don't have it, just leave it blank, or you can even delete it from the thing if you'd like. Information about parking lots, information about bridges, information about traffic, whether it's pervious pavement or not, whether it's ADA accessible is a pretty big one, and then some IDs to link to other things like the center line. So I'm gonna, has everybody got ready to carry on here? Okay, so let's enter some information about this. For the pavement segment ID, just like before, we're going to enter 1 for the same as object ID. The type is already filled in as pathway. The name, we can type in a name for it. We can call this the South Air KC pathway. And it is, in fact, asphalt, so the correct type is there. But if you want to change that, you can click on this, and there's a drop-down menu where you can have there's a few different types, and this list is what's called a domain list, so it's a list of kind of valid values that we set up ahead of time, but you can go into the geodatabase, and I'll show that in a little bit, and you can actually add values to that list if you want. So if there's not enough stuff in there, you can go in and change those. The construction date, I have no clue when this was built, so I'm going to leave all that blank. I don't know anything about maintenance or inspection, so I'm going to leave that all blank. I don't know about the condition, any of that stuff. I can actually put in a condition for what I know. I was out there not that long ago, and I know that the condition is not that great. It's not quite poor, but we'll just put fair condition. Yeah, is that about right? So there's more information about condition stuff if you want to put that in there. It's not a parking lot, so we'll skip that. It's also not a bridge, so we'll skip that. Traffic load, we have no clue what that is, so we leave all that. But I do know that it's not a pervious surface, so I'm going to put in no for that. I'm pretty sure it's graded well enough to be ADA accessible, so I'm going to put in yes on ADA, and then that's it.
I just want to mention really quick, because you said, if you don't use these, you don't have to use these. Literally, in ArcMap, you can open up the attribute table and right-click and turn a field off. You don't ever want to see that field again. Because it happens a lot with my volunteers when there's so many fields. They get
it overwhelms them,
I don't know what I'm supposed to fill filled in and what I'm not.
So we can do that really quick. I can show you. So, okay, so we filled in those, and maybe we want to hide some of those other ones here. So we'll hit OK. Now our polygon's finished, but let's go into, in the table of contents here, under Pavement Segment, right-click on it, and hit Properties. And if you go to the Fields tab, we can do exactly what Mia was just talking about, is that it gives us a list of all these fields, and we can go ahead and turn some off. So I'm not really interested in maintenance information. I'm going to turn those off. I'm not interested in inspection information either. I'm definitely not, don't have the software to predict pavement conditions, so I'm getting rid of that. It's not a parking lot. I don't have any parking lots. I don't have any bridges, so I'm going to turn all these things off. But I'll leave these other ones here. And then you can hit Apply or OK. And now, if I hit the Attributes button over on the Create Features palette or the Attributes button on the Editor toolbar, it should have turned those off, but it didn't. That's nice. Actually, let's see if it did it in the table. Hit Open Table. Nope, wait. No, it turned them off in the table. It just didn't turn them off on the side. Who knows? It's supposed to turn them off over here. But maybe it's because I have it selected. Let's see. What if I unselect it and I reselect it? Segment. There you go. Now that's turned them off for us. So now you're seeing just the ones that we left on. So that's one way to hide information. And that same method, when we later try to check some data out to use on a mobile device, that's a really useful thing to do before you go out in the field and data collect, because you got a really small screen when you're out there, so you don't want to have a lot of extra fields kind of clogging it up. So you can turn those off ahead of time so that when you're out in the field, you're just collecting data on the things that you're interested in. So we'll look more at that in a little bit. Okay, so now we've got pretty much our section filled in. We could draw on this waterway if we wanted to, but in the sake of saving time and getting everything done, I think we'll move on and we'll work with some of the plant feature classes. So now is a good time to stop editing here and hit, do you want to save your edits? Yes, I do. And you can also save your map by hitting the disk icon in the upper left here. And let that save. Okay, so now we're going to add in a couple of the feature classes that we want to have for the plants. So we're going to try a little bit of a different method to add data in. If you go to the catalog window here and hit the pin icon to hold that open, and then go into our, if you hit the default geodatabase icon here, that should get you there if it's not already, or you can go under folder connections, same as before, to get to our database. And we're going to expand our UC Davis Arboretum database and expand base map and scroll down. And I want to add in my plant information. So we have three major feature classes related to plants. We have this one called mass planting here. And I'm just going to try to click this, and I think I can just drag it over here and add it to my map that way. You can also do that with plant center and plant annotation. I want to grab both of these, so I'm going to hit the control key. Oh, actually, I won't let you do that in there, so never mind. Just hit plant center and drag that over, and then we're also going to get plant annotation. So you click that and drag it over.
The third one?
We have mass planting, plant center, and plant center annotation.